Right, hiya lads and lasses, and welcome to Darts Coaching with Dynamite Dave. Today's video is going to be all about going back to basics. As part of the 8,000 subscriber celebrations, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a basic series again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the Dynamite Dave way in a logical manner. And what we're going to start off with is the theory behind it. So hopefully, listening to what I've got to say about the theory behind it will encourage you to have a go. As I say to loads of people, have a go, you never know, it might just work for you. And the first caveat I'm going to put with that, and I'm going to put it straight after what I've just said, is do not think that you can change your entire throw and your entire approach to the game and it's going to work within 2 or 3 visits or 5 visits or 10 visits, because I absolutely assure you it won't. The only way that you're going to improve and you're going to make yourself a better player is by change. If you look at some of my logos and what have you, and I'll flash 1 or 2 of them during this video, and those are my little sayings, my little catchphrases, and you'll see them come up on the video during the actual different sessions for the different parts of the throw. One of my biggest ones is there can be no improvement without change. Without change there is no improvement, and it's absolutely 100% fact, and it's that fantastic saying, isn't it? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But the amount of dart players that are out there, and it probably includes 75% of dart players across the country, they just keep doing the same thing day in day out and they expect to get better. It just doesn't happen. If you get better by throwing darts, what a lot of people say, oh, practice, 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 and whatever you're doing you will perfect that by practicing it. That's not true. You will get to a certain level and that will be you. You will not get any better. And how many times have you heard this? And I've heard it. If I had £1 for every time I'd heard this, I would be a millionaire. I used to be great when I was younger. I used to be a top level player. I was a fantastic pub player when I was younger, and I've come back to playing darts and I've just lost it all. It's all gone. I'm nowhere near as good as I used to be. There's 2 reasons for that. The 2 reasons are, number 1, rose coloured glasses. The way that you remember yourself years ago is probably not factual. I mean, it is with some people because they've got the competitions that they've won, etc, etc, to back it up, but a lot of it is looking through rose coloured glasses. The other thing is as you get older and you start to mature, what happens to you, and it doesn't matter whether you're going from like 18, 19 years old to 28, 29 years old, 39 to 40 years old, 50 to 60 years old, or 20 to 60 years old, as you go through your life your body changes. What happens? Well, I'll tell you what happens. Your muscle memory and your muscle tone changes. So you might start off when you're 18 or 19 years old with a 28 waist and a 32 chest, little scrawny arms and what have you, and your thing is you feel invincible when you're young. Great analogy for you here, and I know I'm waffling and this is what I do, is I always say to people, when I was a young lad, right, when we used to play football, I always went in the goal. For the simple reason is I wasn't very good at football. If I wanted the ball, I'd just push you off it. So they used to want me to go in goals. And I'm telling you now, it didn't matter whether we were playing on concrete, tarmac or grass. I dived for the ball. I used to dive for the ball all the time. I'd be full of scratches and bruises and all sorts of stuff. And that was when I was in my mid-teens. In my mid-teens, probably my late adolescent years, so from like 8, 9 years old up until being about 13, 14, 15, I'd just dive, and it wouldn't matter whether it was on concrete or anything. I didn't care. If I had to save the ball, I did whatever it took to save it. And do you know something? I never went to hospital once. But I'm telling you now, at 50 odd years old, if I dove for the ball on concrete, they'd be taking me away in an ambulance. And that's what I mean. Your body changes over the years. Extreme example, but it's the same for all of us. Everybody is the same. If you're 50, 60 years old, it doesn't matter how fit you are. If you throw yourself on the floor, you're going to hurt yourself. Whereas when you're young, you don't. So your bodies are different. The other thing is and all is, when you're young, your brain works a lot faster than it does as you start to mature. So if you've been a really good dart player in your 20s and then you come back to it in your 40s and you're no good, the reason is because not one thing or two things have changed, everything's changed. And then what do people do when they come back? They get a set of darts and they try and throw the way that they used to throw, and it doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is exactly the same thing again. Your body's different, your muscle memory's different, your fat content's different, and the biggest muscle in your body is different. It's older and slower, and that's the one between here, between these two temples here, this bit in here, the brain. Function the same as you get older. The great thing with the Dynamite Dave way of throwing darts is its simplicity in itself. What it does is it irons out all the anomalies in your throw. Say all of them, you'll never get rid of every single one of them, but what you will do is the more you get rid of, the more accurate you're going to be, the more consistent you're going to be, and the more reliable your throw's going to be. And that's a fact, and it's bore that out over, I've been running the channel now for 10 years. I've probably been coaching for 10 years and a half, or maybe nearly 11 years. Developed the Dynamite Dave throw 12, 13 years ago. And the time has just flew by since I started the channel. But it's got a decade of proof behind it. I've gone from no subscribers to 8,000 subscribers, never pushing the channel once. I don't advertise it, I don't pay Google or Facebook or anyone like that. I've just allowed it to grow on its own, under its own steam, by word of mouth. And it does that by word of mouth by working, not by fancy advertising or marketing and selling people something that isn't true, that doesn't work. The Dynamite Dave way works. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of dart players out there now throwing in the Dynamite Dave way. Another thing before we actually get into the body of the video, and I know I'm waffling, but this is what I do, is you will have noticed on TV, I purport and I have been coaching double finishes for a decade. Best part of a decade I've been actually teaching people for about 7 years. I think it was about 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, I put it on the channel for the first time. And I actually had Ronnie Ibricks get in touch with me and say that nobody will ever do finishing like that. It just doesn't make any sense. The odds are not there. Nobody will do it. Fast forward to 18 months, 2 years ago, and what starts to come into the game? Double finishes. You look now on the TV, everybody is doing double finishes in every tournament. And I wouldn't say they're going on in every leg, but you're certainly getting 2 or 3 attempts at them, at least in every match. And it just shows that what I was saying a decade ago was the truth, and it was right, and it's logical. That's the other thing with the Dynamite Dave way. The big advantage of the Dynamite Dave way is if you sit down and think about it, it's common sense. Absolute common sense. So let's get over into section 1, and let's go and have a start of the Dynamite Dave way, and we'll start your journey to becoming a much better dart player in not too long a period of time. So let's get over into section 1, and let's go and do that right now. Right, so here we are over in section 1. 180. So throw your first dart in, and then your second dart at your first dart's flight, and then your third dart at your first dart's flight, and there you go. Yep, there it is, 180. And what we are is we're on the hockey now. You can see my feet. What I've done is to make this simpler and easier to understand, I've put a pair of shorts on so you can see my feet really well, because if you've got a set of dancing pants on and what have you, you can't really see the leg position properly. And what I want you to do is, if you're going to have a go at this, get it bang on right from the word go, and if you do that, then obviously it saves a lot of adjusting later on. Now, if you want to come to Dynamite Dave for coaching, I do those services. I do face-to-face coaching, I do online coaching for everybody who's overseas or can't get up from other parts of the country, and I also do coaching videos. Those coaching videos are personal to you. So what I do is I get you to send me some videos, I analyse your throw, and then I give you instructions on where I believe you can make some big improvements to your game. So that's if you want to do that. There'll be an advert coming along in about 10 minutes or something. There'll be an advert coming along soon, and it'll show you exactly how to get in touch with me. But let's get on with that first little bit. Right, so the foot position and how we do it. So what we've got on the floor, as you can see in front of me, is I've got a silver line now. This is the best way that I can get it so as you can see it properly and you can understand what I'm doing. This is my hockey, and this is what I teach people from. The hockey itself has got 3 marks on it. It's got an arrow in the middle, so that's right in the middle of the bullseye. It's got an arrow there in the middle of the double 11, and it's got an arrow there in the middle of the double 6. So that gives you your playing area, and those are the only 3 places that you ever need to stand on an hockey, unless of course you've blocked your path to wherever you're going. So if you throw in a double and your darts block the path, moving across, obviously sometimes you have to move further off the end of the hockey and just take a chance of whether you hit it or not. Right, so arrow in the centre of the hockey. What we'll do is we'll do it for the majority first, even though I'm a left-hander. What we'll do is we'll do it right-handed first, and it's dead simple this. We stand with our feet underneath our armpits. Not here, like this, because if you stand like this, you can rock, you can still rock. Now, that is dead easy for me to rock. If you move your feet out to underneath your armpits, it is much harder for you to rock from side to side, so you're feeling the stability straight away. Even just trying this first little bit, you can feel the difference in the stability. Right, then what we do is we turn that side on. So to start off, we turn upside on. The actual arrow on the hockey is there. So what we do is we put the little toe, or this first section of your foot from there to there, which is pretty flat on your shoe, halfway along that. Halfway along that should put your body in the centre of the hockey. And then what we do again is we turn that in and we put our feet shoulder width apart and we stand up straight. And that's your foot position. That is how simple it is. You do not lift your foot up off the floor. You do not put your foot this way or put your foot that way. And the reasons for that is, if you bring your foot back this way, you are torquing your body this way. So as you throw, you're going to pull the darts. As you throw the dart, from there it's going to travel across your body and towards the 5 for your right-handers. If you put it that way, you're torquing your body the other way, and what you're going to do is as you throw, you're going to automatically be dragging into the ones. So you want those 2 feet absolutely level with a tiny little turn on your front foot, and what that does is it just takes the strain off your knee. If you want to stand bang side on, that's entirely up to yourself. But what you will find is you'll have to move your body slightly further out to get that straight line. If you do it the way I've told you here, you'll get a straight line to the treble 20, the bullseye, the treble 3, the double 3 first time. It might not look like it when you're looking at the board, but believe me, it is. What we'll do is do it from the other side. So what we do, stand with his feet shoulder width apart, underneath his armpits, nice and solid. Turn that toe out so as it just runs along the hockey. So it's just that flat part of the toe running along the hockey. We stand up nice and straight, and that is the foot position. Dead simple. Like I say, not out here because it's moving your body this way. If you go that way, as you can see, if I hold my body rigid, if I push my foot out that way, that's what happens. If I straighten up again and then push my foot out backwards, this is what happens. You're actually torquing your body, and a lot of the time this is why dart players drag the darts either into the 1 or into the 5. It's usually because of the trailing foot position. Works exactly the same in golf. In golf, if you stand properly and you swing properly, the ball goes in a straight line. If you move your foot back, what it causes the ball to bend. Simple as that. And forward. And throwing darts, exactly the same thing. It causes you to pull one way or pull the other. Right, so that's the foot position.